months ago, Morgan DeBon, who is the CEO of Blavity, posted a video that was essentially an SOS video from a Black Chicago business owner who we featured on our show, who also was on Shark Tank. She's asking for the public's help. Tim Lewis, who owns the hair care brand CurlMix, says high cost due to tariffs, inflation, and other challenges could very well put her out of business by the end of the year. This is what she posted on social media about the state of CurlMix.
You guys, I hoped I'd never have to make a video like this. CurlMix may have to close on December 31st. We need 20,000 orders to remain open, and this has been the most difficult year in business. This year in business was harder than COVID, with tariffs and taxes and ingredient costs going up and shipping time slowing down. Yes, our team went from a size 40 to 14. And that partially explains why, we've had some delayed orders or longer replies in customer service. Everyone on my team is doing 2 to 3 different jobs, and we hire locally, stateside, for most of our roles. And it has just been so hard to stay alive. So many of my friends' businesses have closed, and I made a post about this last year that we didn't want to be one of them. And our crowdfund that we raised last year was not enough. We needed 4 times what we actually raised, and we didn't get it. It was a tough market. And so my family pulled together cash. I borrowed money from some mentors, and that's what's gotten us to this point, you guys. We've been the most efficient with our capital that we've ever been in any year in business. We've lost the least amount of money for the amount of revenue that we had. We are truly operating way better than we ever have, but cash is tighter. It's hard to get inventory. Business is just harder to run, and funding is dried up. There's no other place to get the money. And so I never wanted to make a video like this, but I figure if CurlMix is important and if it deserves to be here and if our community wants it, our community will show up for it. I believe that. I really, really believe that. I love what we do and who we do it for and who we serve. And the only reason that I have not given up and that I am still here is because you guys invested in me. You guys invested in CurlMix. You bought equity in our company, and I want to continue to show up for you. So I'm not giving up. Okay. We're launching Protect CurlMix, which is essentially our campaign where you spend $100 or you buy a CurlMix bundle or Protect CurlMix bundle, or you donate. And if we get 20,000 orders in the next 60 days, we can stay alive so that I continue to serve you and give you guys good products and not make things that are toxic for you. We have a high standard of quality in our ingredients, our products, and what we serve and what we give you. And I want to continue to do that for women like us, people like us. I think we deserve that. I want to continue to add jobs in the community. I want to keep jobs local. I want to make impact, and you guys can be a part of that. And thank you for everything you've done thus far. You're like, girl, I don't got it to give. That's okay. Can you share the campaign? I appreciate everything that you've done. Truly, truly, truly. Yeah, guys, help us protect CurlMix. And thank you for everything you've done thus far. We couldn't be here without you.
All right, folks. Kim Lewis joins us right now. Kim, glad to have you here. So let's walk through this here. You talked about the crowdfund y'all did. What goal did you set with that crowdfund, and how much did y'all raise?
We needed about $5 million in our last crowdfund, and we raised $5 million.
You say you needed $5 million, and you raised what?
1.5.
You raised 1.5. How long ago was that crowdfund?
That was last year in March, April.
Okay. And so obviously that helped, but it wasn't actually what you needed. I mean, that's about 25% in terms of what you were trying to get. And you laid out in terms of the issues that you have, the challenges that you've been having. And what was the predominant issue? Was it Donald Trump's tariffs that changed it? Because I talked to some other business owners, and people don't even understand. First of all, Donald Trump kept lying by saying that Americans would not pay for the tariffs. That's not true. I was talking to another sister who owns a business, and she said what happened was her products would come in, they would be at the dock, and they would literally say, oh, no, you got to pay us the full amount for your products before we could release them. Is that what you're also facing?
So it's a combination, right? I almost call it like a trifecta. So you've got the cost of goods going up. Okay. You also got the funding environment changed entirely, which it changed in two ways. Funding for consumer goods went from 100% almost to zero from investors. But then you also have the restrictions on DEI. So the pullbacks in like a Target or a Walmart or whatever. So like the retail environment is changing. So a lot of the curly hair care brands are actually down behind the scenes, but you just don't know about it, right? I have friends who are in retail and they're like, everyone's down except one brand. I was like, oh my gosh, like it's not just me. And that was one of the reasons I came out with the campaign, because we're all dealing with this. But, sometimes I think people are too embarrassed to say that they're dealing with it.
Right.
But big brands, small brands, you could be doing $1 million a year, you could be doing $30 million a year. Everybody's down. And then you also have the restriction on economy, right? Inflation's insane. And people just have less money and it stretches very little. And so I think when you look at the tariffs, you look at DEI funding, you look at CPG funding, you look at the economy, inflation, for anyone who's doing business on this side of the river, you know what I mean? In the States, I have a manufacturing facility. At one point we had 40 people and we now have 14. But thankfully, because of the campaign to protect CurlMix, we've actually been able to add back 3 to 4 jobs. And they're seasonal for now, but if we're able to maintain this volume, they'll be permanent. And I think that's the whole point of what we're trying to do is like keep jobs local, manufacture here stateside, hire Black folks. And I think Protect CurlMix is allowing us to do that, but we have to definitely protect our own more and more and more if we want to see them thrive and be here, especially at the end of this administration.
Okay, and so again, the point that you made there about, for instance, the attacks on DEI, and I kept explaining to people, I did a whole video, and people were like, some people were like, yeah, I think you're overstating this, and I said, no. I said, I felt that MAGA was trying to defund Black America. And yeah. I said, as a result of these attacks, I said, they are attacking Black academics, they're attacking Black business, they're attacking Black nonprofits, they're attacking every institution. Then what do we find out? 300,000 plus Black women lose jobs. So here's a perfect example. When 300,000 Black women lose jobs, they're not spending money on their hair. Well, listen, I may have had curly hair, of course, but I'm not buying CurlMix. Black women are buying your product. Black women lose jobs, then that impacts the downflow of their spending.
Agree, 1,000%. It affects media as well, Black media. You can't even find, if I'm looking for certain current events, some Black media is not even in the top 5 or 10 on, a Google or a GPT. And I was like, oh, this is an attack. This is orchestrated. It's strategic. It's not just, we're just going to increase the cost of goods so that we can make more money. It's not. It's so much more than that.
All right. So you put this out about 3 weeks ago. You said you need 20,000 orders. Where do you stand now? I mean, and I take it, you're doing like anybody else. You're doing a daily, hourly check where we are.
So my community has showed up amazingly for us. We are at about 7,000 orders. So we're pacing to hit about 10,000 this month and 10,000 next month, which would get us to the 20,000. So every order counts. I'm grateful for the orders big and small, the $5 orders, the $100 orders, the donations, the actual ordering of product, or even just sharing the campaign. I know not everybody has money, right? It's a recession. But yeah, about 7,000 orders. So things are going really, really well.
Okay. All right. So again, they're going well, but the reality is you got to hit that 20,000. Yes. And so let me be clear. You can't hit 18,000. You can't hit 19,000. And I'm saying that because you're looking at that revenue produced. And this is what I try to explain to people to understand business. It's not a question of, okay, all right, we paid our bills through November and December. No, the reality is when you start talking about a business, you are literally projecting, okay, I got to have enough money in the bank to cover my expenses through the first quarter of 2026 so I don't have to lay off people, any more people, correct?
Yes. So some people will look at that and say, oh, that's 20,000 orders for $100. Like, that's $2 million. That should be enough. Or that's more than enough. And they don't realize that if you're purchasing a product, half of that $2 million is gone because I'm paying for cost of goods, my team, like the labor, the fees associated with the business, all the things. So imagine half of that's gone. The other half of that is debt that I'm paying off, which is one of the reasons I had to do this campaign.
Right.
And then the other half of that might be in the bank, and that we need money to operate. My business needs to do $500,000 a month in order to stay around. Because we have a manufacturing facility and a sizable team, and we're hand making products, and we're using only the highest quality ingredients, things that have a low toxicity score on the EWG scale, the Environmental Working Group scale. Products marketed to Black women, a lot of them, they have like 7 and 8 rankings on the toxicity level that you might buy at a beauty supply or things like that. Our products have we maxed out at a 3 for most of our ingredients, except maybe like our preservative, things like that. Our preservative might be a 3 or 4. But that's really low on the toxicity scale, where we're buying things like, oh, well, this is cheaper, but I'm like, it's also more dangerous. And so we're buying only the best ingredients for your hair care, and it's not cheap to do, especially not ethically, where we're hiring Black folks, giving them benefits, and providing good jobs in our community. Black folks, Black-owned businesses are the highest employers of Black people. So if our businesses go down, our community goes down.
So, again, and this is the thing, what you just laid out right there, I'm always trying to explain to people the fundamentals of business. Look, I got no problem saying it, what we built here. The reality is I had somebody who applied for a job, and they say, hey, do you do benefits? I said, no. And they were like, man, why not? I said, okay, let me explain to you the reality of the cost. If your employment costs are $1.5 million, I said, you need to look at going up to $2.5 to $3 million when you start adding benefits. And they weren't quite understanding what I was talking about. And I said, that's because you're an employee. You've only worked at places. You don't understand the business side of the business. And so what you just laid out, you're doing benefits. You're not trying to put bullshit in your products. And so, which means that because you are now trying to have, frankly, a safer, healthier product, those are more expensive. And so all of a sudden you're just, okay, that's more expensive. And guess what? That profit line is decreasing. Otherwise, you got to raise your prices. And then people are going to say, oh, my God, Kim's prices and CurlMix prices, they're way too high. And so this is really sort of the class that I think so many people have to understand when people talk about, oh, we need more Black-owned businesses. And I say, hey, if you don't know jack about business, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Roland. That is, or should I say Mr. Martin?
Mr. Martin is my daddy. I'm Roland.
Okay, Roland. No, you're absolutely right. It's more expensive to do business that way. So one of the things that we've decided to do to combat the price issue, so most of the things on our site are full price, but we do offer an insane bundle where it's 10 products for $10 each. So the bundle itself is probably worth $300, but we're giving it to people for about $100. And so we still get a good amount of profit from that, and we also give you a ton of value. And that way we can kind of give you, pricing that's better than retail without the huge cost to the business. And so definitely check out our website, Protect CurlMix. That 10 for 10 offer is a better Black Friday deal than you're going to see on anybody's website for sure.
Okay. So, all right. So here's the other thing so let's take it further. Let's say, all right, you hit 20,000 in sales. Okay. How are you repositioning the company to get through 2026? Because there's not going to be a change in the White House. So we're going to have this crazy nonsensical, you have no idea what the hell tariffs are going to happen. So how are you positioning the company to be able to survive if you get through this 20,000? How many are you going to have to do per month to survive through 2026?
That's a great question, Roland. So we had a profitable month this year in July. We did over $500,000, like $535,000 that month. And what I, learned is my business needs volume. So we need to be able to spend a certain amount of money on ads and get a certain return. We would normally see in years prior like a 2.5 return on investment or return on ad spend. This year we saw a 3.3. In the month of October, which is normally our worst month ever, we had a 5X, but we had such a low budget, we couldn't spend what we wanted to spend. So our marketing had really great results, but we need a certain level of volume to have profitability. And so what this campaign is doing, we already had the offer that works for us. We already had the products people loved, but by the time we figured out that offer, we had so much debt that each month I'm deciding between inventory, advertising, and debt. And if you pay for inventory and ads, but you don't pay your debt, that's a problem. If you pay your debt and your ads, but you don't have any inventory, that's a problem. And then if you pay only your debt and your inventory, but the ads are not on, you don't have volume, so that's a problem.
So where are you advertising?
Meta or Facebook. That's our primary, because we're a .com, right? So we're a website. This campaign pretty much eliminates all of our short-term debt and gives us, a few $100,000 in operating cash in the bank. And essentially, I'm just paying for inventory and ads every month. And as long as I'm spending X amount and I'm doing over $500,000 a month, then we will be in a really good position.
Right.
So that's
so you gotta, but so again, you gotta do $500,000 in revenue every single month in order for you, because you say you did 535, so that's a $35,000 profit. So that's what you have to do.
Yeah, at a minimum. But I think we can do more. We were getting better results. Our debt was crushing us. Right.
And so where are you now on your debt?
We've paid down a few $100,000, but we need December to be successful. So you're absolutely right. We need the 20,000 orders. Otherwise, that debt's still going to be sitting there. We're going to have the same problem. So we need to get to those 20,000 orders.
Okay. Let's see here. Questions from my panel. Mustafa, you first.
Yeah, well, thank you for everything that you're doing. I'm curious, and I think this is important for folks who are watching to actually know why you started CurlMix. What was the passion that drove you to actually start it?
It was wanting to know exactly what was in my hair care products. Like, people tell you what's in it, but you don't really know unless you make it yourself. And so CurlMix actually started as a do-it-yourself box for curly hair. Think Blue Apron, but for hair. And we basically would send you all the materials to make your own hair care products in a box. And our flaxseed gel was our #1 selling box. So we turned it into a ready-made product and pivoted the business and focused entirely on wash and goes for the first few years of the business. And that's kind of how we, our rise to fame and how we ended up on Shark Tank and things like that. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons, too, we had to manufacture. So one of the reasons our cost of goods are so high is because we have our own manufacturing facility where we make everything. And we really couldn't go to an overseas manufacturer in China because no one wanted to make flaxseed gel. Essentially, we're boiling the raw flax seeds that you would normally eat. You might use it as an egg substitute or put it in a smoothie. Well, when you boil them, you get a really gooey gel. We extract the gel in our facility, put it in a bottle, preserve it, and then ship it to our customers. So it's like an organic gel. But no one else is willing to do that if you went to a typical contract manufacturer.
Yeah.
Larry?
Congrats.
Larry, you on? Yeah, there we go. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I want to congratulate you from, putting together a wonderful product. I remember seeing you the last couple of years and your success. And I'm wondering, if you have, ideally, if you could, you're able to continue to raise revenue and things continue to move forward over, this quarter into the next quarter, what would be the ideal situation in terms of revenue? And then what would you do with that, additional revenue? Would you focus on marketing, paying down the debt?
Ideal is $1 million a month. Larry, go ahead. Larry, go ahead and finish. I'm messing with you.
No, I'm just curious. Well, what would you invest in? What are the things you would invest in?
So one of my main goals next year is to do somewhere between 7 and 10 million, right? And to have 20% profit margins and be able to comfortably employ my team, have payroll reserves, and just have a normal year where we're not stressing over cash. That would be phenomenal, right? And then I would say my big dream for us is to be more of like a Lush. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Lush is not a typical, I'm going to go and get my cheap shampoo and conditioner. It's a luxury experience. You go and you buy this small batch handmade, skin and body products, or body and face products. And then, they're natural, so they have a shelf life, a shorter shelf life than everything else. But they have little pop-up stores, one in every major city. They don't have they're not like a Walmart or Target. They're not everywhere. They're just these small pop-up stores. And you might go and spend $200 at Lush or $300 at Lush or $400. You might go once a quarter. I know I used to do that. And so I think that's really kind of how we fit in the beauty industry, in the beauty conversation. But my first investment would really just be cash reserves so that we can function like a comfortable, profitable business and be able to secure the jobs that I'm hiring for.
Tyler?
Yes, thank you so much again, and congratulations on everything. I believe that supporting Black businesses is an act of radical love, and so I'm sending you Godspeed and blessings towards your campaign. I'm speaking abundance and overflow over your business, and so just congratulations in advance. What has this experience taught you about these challenges faced by Black-owned businesses, and how can communities and policymakers step in to support entrepreneurs like you in times like this?
Ooh, I love that, community and policymakers. There are programs that are offering grants right now. I think we need more of them, right? Like I know there's like a grant for manufacturers right now for $100K. If the deadline was October 31st, they extended it. I'm seeing some brands do different things. I know New Market Tax Credits had something where if you move to a certain impoverished area, you would get a grant. And so we operate actually in one of those areas. So more programs like that I think would help from a policy perspective. And then you also asked, am I missing it? You asked about what can policymakers do, and then you asked
what the community, what has this experience taught you about what Black-owned businesses face in times like this?
So yeah, this is so good. So a lot of times, what I was doing when I initially started CurlMix, I originally wanted to be a tech founder, and then I moved over to the venture track. And, a lot of times we want to play like the white boys. We want to raise the money and go after the big goals and not focus on profit. And then when you get into a bind or a crunch, everybody's like, well, why aren't you profitable? And I'm like, what do you mean? That wasn't the requirement. The goal was growth. We were growing. But the thing is, for Black founders, there's no Series B and C and D, and you're not going to have that follow-on funding. So you're almost handicapped from jump. So when you raise your first angel round or your first Series A, you need to switch to a profit track immediately. And that was not something I was taught or learned or knew. And I think, Black founders almost have to focus on profit from day one, which ultimately limits the kind of business you can build. It gives you more freedom personally, but it means that you're not going to build a billion-dollar company in 5 to 10 years. It's probably going to take you 20. And if I had known that sooner, I would have functioned so differently. I would have raised my crowd fund, and I would have not raised an institutional round. I would have focused on profit from that moment on. And the thing is, I would have had to been going against the community, my peers, the other investors, who's telling you to grow. And I would have said, no. Let me just cut and focus on profit. But that was not the conversation at the time. And I think I didn't trust my own instincts. I'm listening to lots of cooks in the kitchen, and I think that my lesson was to trust myself more in that. And it doesn't matter that I'm young, you and your gut know what the right direction is for the business. And I think that was my biggest takeaway, my biggest lesson in this process.
It's interesting you say that because, listen, I've had multiple people come to me since we launched saying, oh, you need to go do a raise. You need to do a crowdfund. I've had 2 different crowdfunding companies approach me. And I remember having a conversation with somebody at the beginning of the year. And Mark Halperin had gotten $3 million or something like that from some Russian oligarch. I don't know what the hell he got. And this person said, man, y'all should, should be doing the same. But, folks like Roland, you trying to hold on to equity. This person said, I'm willing to invest $100,000. And I saw it. And I started laughing because what the person hadn't even realized is in that particular month, our donations from our fan base was at $58,000. That was just on Cash App, and Square. So it was just two. It wasn't Venmo, it wasn't PayPal, it was just those two. And the reason I thought that was hilarious because what the person didn't understand was, oh, sure, I could go out, give up 20% of the company. I can go raise $3-4 million. But the problem is, if there's not going to be an increase in advertising coming from brands, coming from ad agencies, all you're going to end up doing is doing a raise, bringing the money in, expanding your expenses, burning through the cash, not seeing the revenue increase to go along with that. And now you're chasing the valuation, and those investors want their money back. So you're going to have to end up going out to go raise more money to essentially pay them back. And all of a sudden now you're losing equity. And I said to this person, I would rather stay where I am and methodically build than be in a constant state of pressure, debt, raise. I said, then you're not focusing on the business. You're focusing on just out there constantly trying to raise money. And these are the conversations that I think, unfortunately, Kim, that people don't want to have when we talk about business. Because a lot of people are sitting there and they're watching, they're looking at Instagram, and they're like, oh, they're thinking you're living the good life, not understanding that when you are an owner, when you're an entrepreneur, you're the one staying up. You're the one trying to figure out how the folk get paid. You're the one shifting money when it comes to this credit card to that credit card. This ain't Sheila E.'s song, The Glamorous Life.
Oh my gosh, Roland, you're absolutely right. So I have decided, so I learned that lesson, right? And I think thankfully I'm not too far gone that I can't recover. So I have a plan. I've decided it. I stopped raising after that crowdfund. I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm not raising another dollar. We're good. Okay. I have been in the marketing seat running as CMO, CEO for the last 18 months. And my marketing team is down to just 4 people max. And the 3 of us work on CurlMix. So all the emails are going out, all the SMS, everything, all the graphics, me right now. That's how we're like saving money. It's because I'm probably working 3 or 4 jobs. And I want to get CurlMix to a really comfortable position in profit, be able to pay my investors back their money, but retain the equity in the business. And I am saddling up for the long haul. I'm going to be doing this for the next 10 years, at least. And I'm okay with that. I love that. I love my customers. I love what I do and who I serve. And I'm going to slowly just buy back my equity. So I agree with you. That was a hard lesson, but I'm glad I learned it now and not in, 3 or 4 years.
So here we sit, and go to my iPad, Anthony. Folks, if you go to CurlMix.com, you see Protect CurlMix. You can buy products. But also, if you want to just donate, if you don't want to buy products, you can click the donate button right here. You see they are asking for $50. You can change the amount right here. And there are multiple ways in which you can give. You see credit cards, Cash App, Affirm, Klarna, as well as with your bank. If I go back here, you see there's a running clock right here. And 36 days, 5 hours, and 25 minutes. And so, folks, they moved about 7,000. Again, the goal is to do 20,000. So we're talking 13,000. And so if you want, well, first of all, so let's see for folks who may not know, what products do you have? So I'm looking here. And so just share, what are your products?
Yeah, so we have a few different gels. We have about 3 flaxseed gels in here. So if you like a wash and go, this would be a great kit for you. We also have our anti-frizz leave-in in here, as well as our pineapple leave-in that's going to be really good for detangling your hair. We have our honey curl cream, so it'll be great for twist outs, as well as our styling foam. And then we also have our shampoo. And a grapeseed conditioner is going to be really great for slipping through your hair. So it's a really good styling bundle if you want to style your hair.
All right, so I see here wash and go shampoo. All right, so what products that you have? Okay, what can dudes use? I mean, let's just say now Larry, he ain't got no shot, so he ain't. Okay, no. You got anything Larry can use for his beard?
Absolutely, we have some body butter and lots of different growth serums on our website. Larry could just go and buy a one-off product. He doesn't have to buy the 10 for 10. or he can buy it and gift it. It should be shipped out hopefully before Christmas because we're doing pre-orders. And maybe he'll be able to do stocking stuffers, but also he can just go directly to the site and purchase a body butter. That's what I actually have in my hair right now. I blow dried it just before our meeting.
All right. You can look at Mustafa's hair. You see how, no, put Mustafa up there. So what you got for Mustafa?
So we are switching up the bundle. So the bundle you see on the site is going to change on Black Friday. It's going to be a scalp bundle. So we're going to have a lot of liquid shampoos. I know if you have locks, you don't typically want butters and creams and things like that in your hair because it can get caught and it'll collect lint and stuff like that. So we have we have 2 or 3 liquid poos, one that's mint, one that's strawberry. We have a scalp treatment that's like an okra-based gel that's got like a minty feeling with witch hazel. It's going to help relieve dandruff and any itchy scalp that you might have. And then we have our fragrance-free serum that's going to be in that kit. And then we have our fragrance-free shampoo and conditioner as well. So if you have sensitive skin and you want something with fragrance-free, definitely check CurlMix out.
All right. Tyler, take your hat off and see what the hell you working with. Let's see. Look,
I'm need someone that's not to take the waves off underneath.
First of all, you ain't got no damn waves.
Look.
Stop it. Tyler, you ain't no waves up there. So, Kim, y'all got something that can give his ass some waves?
We got some pomade. We got some pomade on our site. Just search pomade. It's our maple pomade.
All right, then. So, folks, you have your marching orders. The site, CurlMix.com, CurlMix.com. You see all of their socials right here. Of course, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest. That's all of their products. So, again, Kim, keep us abreast of how y'all do hitting your goal.
Thank you so much, Roland. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it.